Okay, right. I initially made my mind up about Alnicos, about the 5 millimeter diameter, 60 millimeters long Alnicos, being quite ideal as a latch, as a magnetic latch. Well, I've now come to the conclusion that it's not ideal because the amount of energy that's required to flip an Alnico is so great that a lot of the energy that's required to flip the field of the Alnico generates heat. That's basically it's basically acting like, what do you call it? Inductance, heating. Oh, I forgot what you call it now. Somebody said, but it's inductance heating basically. So I mean, a lot of the energy is wasted as heat. So initially, what happened was I got these other Alnico material. It's a humbucker type material that's used on guitars, and I cut a piece off this. Well, this is a piece I actually cut off with my diamond cutting drill, and it has very poor magnetic properties, but it does conduct magnetic fields quite well, when you've got a magnetic field attached to it, but it doesn't actually have a very strong memory, unlike the other Alnico, which has a strong memory when it's flipped over. So what I was going to do, I'm going to use my cutting table, which I designed. The drill isn't mounted in this one. I was going to put the other thing on. So what I was going to do is I'm going to cut some of this other material to make to use a coil on it, but I don't expect to get much of a very fast reactance. But because it's very mild and it doesn't take it doesn't take as much energy to move the fields on this particular Alnico, I figured that this should be much more energy conserving, but I won't get much of a latching effect. So anyway, I thought, well, I initially dismissed this long stuff, which is in my currently in my cutting table, this big piece. I initially dismissed it as not being very suitable, but who am I to say? Why not try it? So I'm going to cut some sections that are basically long enough to go in my other device, which along this part here, and have a coil on there and actuate it and test that, because why not? I mean, let's face it, I mean, guessing and making assumptions is not the way to do things. I mean, we've got to try them out, haven't we? So yeah, anyway, that's what I'm basically going to do. I'm going to cut some of this. I was going to wind these coils on these longer Alnicos, but I did some static tests, just to, and well, I'm going to have the same problem with the inductance heating effect. It's basically using up most of the energy as heat, it's wasted, so that's not really what I want. So I don't think I'll even bother to wind these coils. Instead, I'm just going to do some flat bar ones, and I'm going to try those. Because I've tried just about every coil, really. I mean, I've tried those coils, I tried these little narrow coils, I've tried these coils, and in different Alnicos. That's a different Alnico, obviously. But so anyway, it's time to try this flat bar material and see what this does. And obviously, with it being a larger surface area, I'll get more magnetic field through it, which is what I want anyway. I want more magnetic field going through there, and I want less resistance to my device. Well, obviously my device is using the subtraction method on my concentric magnets, as I was explaining before. I'll just go over it quickly. This is a larger one. But basically, the way it works, as you know, the Lenz law is that for every action equals an equal and opposite reaction. Well, normally what you're doing is you're using a coil to generate a magnetic field. You're pushing the field, and that field is directly pushing against your secondary coil, right? Okay? Well, in this situation, because I'm using a concentric, these magnets on the inside are north, south, north, south, north, south. Now, what happens is when you have your primary coil on this side of the concentric, what's happening is it's actually pulling on the opposite polarity, so it's subtracting rather than addition. So what it does is it basically subtracts three of these magnetic poles, because three of them are, say, south, three of them are north. So what happens is it subtracts those fields and it takes them along to the other concentric and creates a circuit. So it basically latches them and pulls them together. At the same time, it frees up the magnetic poles on the other side, which is the opposite pole, and they're allowed to travel through the secondary coils. So in actual fact, the lens effect has been negated a certain amount, right? It's been negated simply because lens is no longer working directly on your actuator coil. Lens effect is now having to get past the magnetic fields that's been expelled on this side. It's got to be able to latch on to the fields that have been subtracted on this side, but it can't quite reach those fields because they're locked into between two other concentrics on this side, you see. So there's two concentrics over here which are holding that field together. So the lens effect is really having a hard time trying to get through there to actually impede your actuation oscillator coil. Anyway, that's basically the idea. So I'm more focused on keeping on with my concentrics, which I've had a lot more success with, and I'm less inclined to be too bothered about the Alnico, although I do want to test the Alnico rectangular bar scenario, which is the next phase. Thanks for watching anyway. Oh my god, is it 7 minutes? Bloody hell.